the faculty and all the researchers also within the faculty, those who are conducting research, and for those also who, I mean, for all the faculty, because we are supposed to not only conduct our PhD research, but also to publish research papers and undertake various research projects. So therefore, the topic is going to be very useful for all of you. And I'll try to do justice with this topic with the help of my experience that I have gained over some 7 to 8 years while I have been dealing with this plagiarism checking for this and for entire Nagpur University researchers. So here I am, the topic research ethics and plagiarism. So the objectives of this session will be, before right away embarking on what is plagiarism, first let us know where this thing comes into picture. So first I'll take a very quick tour of what a research report is, what are the different types of research reports, in what styles and formats these reports are written, then what are the do's and don'ts of a good research, what should be done, what should be avoided, and then we will learn about the research ethics and misconduct in research, which will precisely cover fabrication, falsification, and then I'll be elaborating on plagiarism. So as I told you, uh, brief tour of writing a good research paper or report. Because when I use this term good research has a meaning here. Good research doesn't mean that you have the results with you, you have the data with you, you write the paper, and you do not give due credits to those whose previous researches you have referred to and used in your report. So that kind of research report, friends, is cannot be called as a good research. So what is a good research or a good research paper or a report? Okay, so research articles or abstracts or thesis or dissertations and even your project reports, they all form various types of research reports. Okay? If you are writing a research paper or a research article or an abstract or a thesis, full-fledged PhD thesis or PG dissertation, or even if you are writing a project proposal, or after the conduct of entire funded project, you are writing a project report, then also these all kinds of these formats are actually called as research reports. These reports are the vehicle for researchers to communicate the results of their investigation to others across the space and time. So why do you write these reports? The prime purpose of writing these reports are to communicate the output or the results or the investigations of your research. To communicate them, you have to write a report. And your report could be an article or abstract or thesis or dissertation or a full-fledged research project. So the common objective of all these kinds of research reports is to disseminate research results and findings, ideas, or information. What does this mean? If you have conducted a research, disseminate the results, disseminate the output of your result, of your research to other researchers. And how do you do that? I'll be repeating till you get in pace with me. So I'll be repeating for a few minutes that what a report is, what a research report is. So a research report, you are writing a research report means you are writing either a research paper or a research article, or you are writing a PhD thesis or a MPhil thesis, or you are writing a PhD, you are writing your PG dissertation report, or you are making a funded project proposal, or at the end of the project you are writing your project complete project report. All these types of reports are basically nothing but your research reports. And why do you write these research reports? Why this onus lies on the researchers to write any one of these research report, or in many formats, many of them. Why should you write such reports? Because you are mandated The onus lies on the researchers to communicate or to disseminate the outcome or the results of their research. And that is why you have to write these research reports. So, why? So, communication of research results should take place through research reports with a number of audience in your mind. Who will be reading your reports in various formats? So researchers will be reading your report, your peers, those who are conducting researches in the same area as you are. So those people are called your peers. They will be interested in your report, in your research report. Research report, again, research report means your research paper, your research article, your abstract, your PhD thesis, your MPhil dissertation, your PG dissertation, or your funded project reports. Who will be interested? Who will be reading those reports? Who will be the audience of those reports? Your fellow researchers, your peers, the practitioners, the scientists, the teachers, the curriculum planners, developers, and of course the general public. What is the significance of a research report? What is the importance of a research report? A research report essentially is a written document which is prepared by a researcher for sharing his or her ideas, information, and experiences with others. So, a research report is a carefully written document in which all the terms pertaining to the research are defined, the limitations of the research are recognized and written, the entire procedure is described, how the research was conducted, all the references, I'll impress upon this, all the references, friends, listen to me carefully once again, all the references are carefully documented. All the results are objectively recorded and conclusions are presented in a true scholarly spirit. What is a research report? Once again, a research report could be an individual project report such as a master's degree dissertation or a full-fledged PhD thesis written for doctoral degree. It is a comprehensive presentation of a researcher's activities and of course the result of the study. Your research could be individual research or a collaborative research or even a group research. So research process and research report. There are two things. On the top side, on the top half of the slide, I have given you a life cycle of a research process, and in the lower half, I have given you the life cycle or the steps of a research report. They look more or less alike. However, look at them carefully. Research process starts with statement of a problem. A research process begins as soon as you define your problem. You write a statement or a clear-cut definition of your research. Then you write the research questions or hypothesis, objectives, hypothesis, and scope and everything. Then you design, the researcher decides upon the research methodology. What kind of design of how the research will be designed. Then the data is collected. After the data is collected and represented properly, the data is then analyzed to make some inferences out of it. And then you write a report. Okay, so at the end of the research process, one is expected to write a report. So what that research report is, let us now look into the report carefully. Research report starts with writing the title of the research. Then comes the abstract. You write an abstract for your research, and then you write a chapter or a portion or a part segment of your research, which is called as introduction of the research. Then comes the methods or research methodology. Then comes your results, findings, so observations, inferences, findings, conclusion. Then comes generalized conclusions out of your research. Then you give a list of references. References are the information sources that have been referred to in your research. And then your appendix, which may contain various types of directories or maps or globes or some pictures or whatever is emanating from your research. The research reports are prepared and subsequently used for the following purpose. So the purpose of your research report, if your research report, which could be a research paper or a research article or a PhD thesis or a PG dissertation or an MPhil report or a full-fledged project report, funded project report, the purposes are first to disseminate the outcome of the research. How do you communicate the outcome? You write in any one of these formats. Then these friends, your research report can be used as a reference material for other researchers while conducting a literature review or while conducting some comparative study. So your reports they serve as a reference material for other peers who are doing research in the same area as you have done. Then your reports, they are utilized for their recommendations, because every report contains some suggestions or recommendations, and these recommendations can be utilized by the decision-making authorities. The research methods that you have used can be replicated by other upcoming researchers. And of course, your research reports are a medium of communicating your experiences while conducting the research. What difficulties you faced, then what were your challenges, what were your limitations in the research. Those can be used by other researchers. So what are the types of report and who will be the audience for it? Suppose the type of report is your articles in the research journals, articles that you have published in research journals, or even in fact in your conference proceedings also. They are also published with ISBN or ISSN numbers. So your such type of research journals or conference proceedings are used or read by the teachers, professionals, policymakers, and of course the curriculum developers. The abstracts that a researcher writes and is published on the World Wide Web or also available in print form, they also have the same audiences: teachers, professionals, policymakers, curriculum developers. Then thesis and dissertations. Thesis and dissertations, friends, these are the full-fledged reports, and they are read by your fellow researchers, your peers, and of course the educationists, the evaluators who will be evaluating your thesis, your dissertations, so as to award you some marks or to award you the degrees. Then there are project reports, funded project reports. They are read by or used by the funding agency, policymakers, the public, and the government. So the types of research reports that we have are research articles, abstracts, thesis and dissertation, and project reports. Let us look into their formats. Research article. There are three types of research articles. Primarily, there is one called as review article, another called as theoretical article, and the third one is called as the articles based on empirical studies. All of these articles will be written in this format, that they have an introduction part, they have methods or research methods, then there is a discussion part, and then results and findings. So I have told you that review articles, theoretical articles, or based on empirical studies, they all will have the format as I told you. So there is another type of research report which is called as abstracts. And as we know that abstract is a very comprehensive summary of the contents of the entire article or a thesis or a dissertation. It is written in a very concise manner. So an abstract is accurate, self-contained, concise, and coherent and readable. Abstract will also have an introduction, then main body, then results and conclusions. Thesis and dissertation. It is usually they are little different in this manner that thesis and dissertations are produced in partial fulfillment of the requirement of a course or a program for an advanced degree. So these theses or dissertations are submitted to an institution or submitted to an examination committee or to the evaluators for the purpose of awarding degrees to the students. The reading audiences are, for these theses and dissertations, their reading audiences will be the committee members, the fellow researchers, and published in whole or in part in various educational periodicals or journals, or also in the form of full-fledged books. Then comes the project reports. As I've been telling you, there are project reports, which are the reports of the projects which are funded by some government or NGOs, and these project reports will be submitted first as a research proposal, then as a full-fledged project report at the end of the conduction of the full project. So, friends, a project report and a PhD thesis may look alike. What are the formats of a project report? Here, considering going through this project report or a PhD thesis format is important, because when we deal with plagiarism, we should know which part forms the essential body to be checked for plagiarism and which parts are not required to be checked. Okay, so possible format of a project report, example 1, example 2. Here I will emphasize on example 2 because this is more popular. Example 1 is for mostly adopted by NGOs and private organizations. So title page in example 2, title, we have a title page, then we have a list of contents, tables and figures, project objectives, hypothesis, then various research methods, then data collection and data analysis. And if it is a funded project, then we will talk about budgeting also. Then comes essential part, which is findings, then conclusions, generalized conclusions, then some suggestions and recommendations. And of course, we have references and bibliography and various appendices related to the project, related to the research. So format of any research project, be it thesis, dissertation, we will have a preliminary section. Then we have body of the report. And then at last we have reference section. Friends, the preliminary section and the reference section, they are not required to be checked for plagiarism because your research is contained in the body of the report, the middle part of it. Preliminary section will contain title page, preface, acknowledgement, table of content, list of table, list of figure, maps, illustrations, whatever is required in your research. Then there is body of the report or the entire text, and this portion is important wherein plagiarism or any kind of research misconduct is required to be checked for. So this body of the research will contain introduction, then design of the study. So that is your research methodology, how will you gather the data, how will you analyze the data. Then comes your summary and conclusion, findings and conclusions, and then your reference section. Okay, I have given you, I think, quite a good brief, quite a good overview of all the types of research reports, what are their formats, and towards my previous points, I have also emphasized on which part of your research report is required to be checked for plagiarism or for any kind of research misconduct. Now give a good look to this picture, to this image, plagiarism and ways to prevent it. In this picture, there is a symbolic representation of a person, of a lady, which is here representing the, the evaluator of the research report. Could be a guide, could be a teacher. And on the right, on my right side, I can see that there is a boy who is representing the researcher community. Okay. So what this student is saying, what this researcher is saying, I'll read it out. What do you mean? All my facts are wrong? I copied everything straight off the internet. The student is saying to his guide or evaluator of the research report that what do you mean that my facts are wrong? How can you say that my report is wrong? How can you say that my facts or the data that I have used is wrong, or the text that I have used is wrong? It cannot be wrong. Why? Because the researcher feels that since I have copied from the internet, nothing can go wrong with it. Because I have copied, I have taken the material from the internet, it is good, it is okay, it is perfect. However, it is not so. Why? I mentioned some points on the lower half of my screen, of my slide, which is there are certain important parts of your research report. While writing a research report, the researcher has to keep in mind these points. What are these? Taking permissions, giving due acknowledgements, giving due credits, then giving proper citations, and of course, mentioning all the references, all the information sources that a researcher has used. These are important parts. Whatever you have written in your report, if that part is taken from some other research report, from some other information source, please take their permissions. If it is an image, if it is a figure, if it is a table, they could be copyrighted. Take their permissions before using them. If you have referred to some previous researchers, give them due acknowledgements. How do you acknowledgement them? How do you acknowledge them? Not by writing under your acknowledgement part of your report, which is a preliminary section. No, you acknowledge previous researches that you have referred to by giving them due credits. How do you give them due credits? By way of citing them within the text and by way of giving their full citation or full reference as footnote or at the end of your text under references. Okay, this is the most important part of your research. This is where all your researches are going to be, I'm sorry to use the term, your researches are going to be challenged if you fail to give permissions, take permissions, give due credits and acknowledgements and citations and references. So, what are some cautions here? On the basis of my experience, I have enlisted these cautions. First is topic of research should be self-explanatory. Your topic of research should not be ambiguous, should not use fanciful terms. It should be simple and it should give only one single meaning. Okay, so topic of research should be self-explanatory, complete in itself. Do not use fanciful terms. Cite original sources. If you are using some definitions or you are, if it is a theoretical research and you are explaining some concepts, please cite the original source. Do not cite the the source from which you have taken the definition. Suppose you have taken the definition from a book, but the definition is given by some other researcher, some renowned researcher. Okay, so cite the original source. If you don't cite the original source, it is amounting to plagiarism. Write review in your words to serve your purpose. Do not copy the reviews. While writing a review of literature or literature survey, please do not copy others' review. Write the review in your manner, in your way, how you have reviewed that particular research. Then data collected should be free from bias. Your data should be free from bias. Do not interpolate or manipulate the data. Do not use controversial sources. All the researchers should be beware of using any controversial source. Do not depend only on free resources available on internet. Are you going to conduct your research only on the basis of information that the Google is serving you? That is not advisable. Rather, I will give you a caution. Please visit your library. Please visit your digital library. Please visit your virtual libraries. They may not be physical libraries. Please visit the libraries. Use the information sources provided by those libraries, because those sources are selected and provided by the subject experts. They are not, they are free from bias, they are not controversial, they are, and their quality has already been taken care of. They're high quality resources. Use your library. Avoid self-citation unless inevitable. You are tempted to cite your own sources. Please do not do that unless it is inevitable. Where it is required, like if you are writing your PhD thesis, then in your thesis, as a part of your PhD regulation, you are required to say publish 2 articles in some journals and 2 in your present, two presentations in some conferences. In such cases, you are required to give citation of your own research because that was mandatory. Otherwise, avoid it. Understand the difference between references and bibliography. Friends, references means only those sources that have been used in your report, either in the form of a text or in the form of figure or in your tables or in some other form. If you have used other sources, please do cite them. Do give their full references. Do give their full citations. But in your bibliography, you mention the sources for further studies, for additional studies. Okay, so all our abbreviations should be first defined and then used. Write contribution of each author in case of research article. If you are writing an article which is a multi-author article, at the end of your article, mention in one paragraph or in concise form contribution, intellectual contribution, research related contribution of each author, and please stick to timelines. Okay, friends, research is a cyclical process. Nobody can say that my research is final and this research ends here. Nobody can take this research further. I have done a full and final research. No. Every research is cyclical, and every research should give rise to more research questions that need further investigation in the form of new research. So if your research is giving rise to more research at the end of it, it means it is a good research, and it is a research which is done in an expected and desirable manner. Remember, friends, remember, a research not communicated to target audience was better not done at all. What am I trying to impress upon your minds here is, if you have conducted a research, okay, and you have not published any paper, you have not submitted its report, friends, there is no use of conducting such a report. There is no use of conducting such a research. If you have conducted a research, it is mandatory to publish its findings in the form of research paper or research article or a research report or a thesis or a dissertation. Every research should be communicated to its target audience. If you are not communicating, you should not conduct the research in the first place. Where do students learn ethical decision making? Now I am coming to research ethics, and every profession, every activity, every act is governed by some ethics. And where a person, a human who takes birth and in his or her entire life, a person is governed by various professional ethics, moral ethics, and life ethics. So we learn ethics from our mentors, advisors. We also learn from our fellow graduates, our fellow students, and then we learn ethics from family, from friends, We learn ethics from faculty, from a religious belief also. We learn a few ethics, and then there are various discussions that are taking place in labs and seminars and under various courses wherein you learn about ethics, professional ethics. Professional organizations also lay down professional ethics, and there are some full-fledged courses which deal with various types of ethics. Okay? Like there can be a course on plagiarism. And if you undergo that course, it means you have learned about research ethics in full. Beware of plagiarism. Plagiarism से बचें. कैसे बचें? I have been telling you and will elaborate more on it. Sharing scientific knowledge, research publication, authorship and collaborative research, and scientific misconduct. These are four aspects of any research. First is sharing your findings with others. How? I have told you, by writing various types of research reports. You will communicate your output in the form of research publication. Then there are authors and collaborative researchers. Because there are researchers, they will be publishing reports in terms of research articles or research papers. So they serve as authors. They can be one author or multiple authors, depending on the type of research, if it is an individual research or a group research or a collaborative research. Depending on that, there will be single or multiple author. Then what? Scientific misconduct. What is undesirable? What is banned? What is not expected while conducting a research or while writing a research report? What is unbecoming of an author while conducting a research? Those things I'm going to discuss more now. So laboratory practices of image and data manipulation. We have heard of these things, that people copy others' images. People take others' data and manipulate it and show as if the data belongs to them, that the data is there originally. There have been cases like that. Then there are issues on data ownership. Who is the owner? Who is the legal owner of a data, and who are the intellectual property right holders? Then there are various government and industry sponsored researches, then sharing the data in your thesis. So how do you share the scientific knowledge? How do you communicate your research, outcomes of your research, or how do you share your knowledge that you have gathered after conducting the research? You share the knowledge through various presentations that you make in various social conventions, like conferences, seminars, colloquiums, and symposias. Then through publications in various peer-reviewed journals. And of course, you share your knowledge through writing a full-fledged thesis or a report. Okay, why publish? Why publish these research reports? Why to publish them? A paper is an organized description of hypothesis, data, conclusions, and it is intended to instruct the readers. Next part is very important. If your research does not generate papers, it might just as well not have been done. You have conducted a research. For example, you have conducted your PhD research, you have written your PhD thesis, submitted it, it has been awarded also, and you failed to produce papers. You did not publish papers out of your PhD thesis. What is the use of such a PhD thesis if you are not publishing your results in terms of papers, in the form of research paper or research article? So if it wasn't published, it wasn't done. What the researcher community says, the researcher community says, which is mentioned by E.H. Miller, that if you have not published, if you have not published papers out of your research, it will be taken equivalent to not being done. It is equal to your research has not been done. And none of the researchers would like to have that kind of opinion. Everybody would like to then publish their researches in the form of various research reports. So, as I told you that you will be writing your research report here, most of the times your researches are communicated, the outcome of your research is communicated in the form of research paper or research articles. And where those research paper or research articles are published, these research papers or research articles are published in the form of in various subject journals or in various journals by standard or renowned publishers, okay, or by in various subject journals. Every journal will have authors and reviewers. Authors are the people who will be communicating their research findings in the form of research papers or research articles. Then there will be subject experts, research experts, who will be evaluating those papers or articles, and after finding them suitable, those papers will be published, those research articles will be published in the journals. Okay, this far we know. Authorship. The list of authors establishes accountability as well as credit. Suppose you have written a paper and published it. Then you will say that I have to my credit this one paper. Friends, if you are taking credit as an author of the paper, please remember accountability also lies on the author. If anything is found wrong in the paper, if any research ethics are not followed, if research ethics are not carefully followed or by the authors, then the entire accountability, the punishment will also be awarded to the authors. Policies. So, paper, a person should be listed as the author only if the person has made an intellectual contribution. Who will become an author of a research paper or of a research article? Only that person who has contributed intellectually. Not the person who has typed your paper, not the person who helped you in collecting the data somewhere, in some form, physically going from one place to another, getting the data. Such persons are not contributing intellectually. I have given you a few examples. You can think of some more. So now look at this picture. See, so on the right side, we can see that this person looks like some lab in charge or research laboratory investigation in charge, or the person who has conducted that investigation. The person is saying, great manuscript, but the lab chief always gets listed as first author. There has been various discussions and arguments and confusions about who gets first authorship, who gets second author, who should be, who should be called the main author and who should be called the second, the co-authors, or who should be the first author and who should be second or the subsequent author. Friends, we know that UGC has already mentioned at various places in its regulation that the mentor or the PhD supervisor is always taken as the first author or the main author, while the researcher or the corresponding author also is taken as the main. Such things are decided amongst the authors, and at times they can be decided by the law of the land. If you have certain other people who have contributed indirectly to your research, you can give them acknowledgements in a separate section of acknowledgement. Author's responsibilities. Preparation and submission of manuscript is the prime responsibility of the author. Then follow the general rules. Ensure work is new and original. All authors should be aware of submission, and all the authors should agree with content and should support submission. Okay, this is very important. No author can say, I have no idea when the paper was submitted or things like that. All the authors should agree with everything that goes into the paper, with everything that goes while submission of the paper. All the authors should agree that the manuscript can be examined by anonymous reviewers and provide copies of the data and the code or other related work. Agree to provide the data related to the research as well as some other information sought by the reviewers. Authors have this accountability or the responsibility of taking permissions if the figures or the tables are copyrighted and they have reproduced those figures and tables in their report. So in their article or paper, the authors, it is the responsibility of the authors to take the permission. Include proper affiliation. Proper affiliation, you understand that the author belongs to some organization, proper affiliation should be given. Friends, what is publishable? There are certain guidelines, there are certain ethics that go into what is publishable. Original and significant findings should be published. Your paper should be well organized and well written. At the same time, your paper should be concise yet complete. Concise doesn't mean that it should be incomplete. It should be complete in terms of its format. What is not acceptable? What kind of reports or articles or research papers are not acceptable? The routine extensions of previous reports. You have written a paper earlier and you just add some more data to it, some more text to it, and you are trying to republish it as some fresh article. This is not expected, and these are not acceptable. So incremental fragmentary reports are also not desirable. If you have conducted a research, then you add some more data for incremental data, you make it separate report. That is also not expected or accepted. Then the reports which are written in using poor language and which are not organized in a proper manner, such papers or reports are also not accepted. And if there are ethical violations, if there are plagiarism found, if there are falsification, fabrication of data found in the report, such violations are done, then such reports are unacceptable and they are liable to be punished. The authors are liable to be punished as per the law of the land. So what amounts to research misconduct as a whole? There are three parts of research misconduct. One is fabrication, another is falsification, and the third and the most important part is plagiarism. So what is fabrication? Fabrication is making up the data or making up the results and then recording them and reporting them. This is completely undesirable and unacceptable. Fabrication. There were no results and you made it. Please don't get offended if I use the term you. I will be using the term you or we or the researchers, which includes which means the entire researcher community. Falsification. Falsification is manipulating research material. There is some research material and you have manipulated it so as to fetch the desired results. Or you have manipulated the equipment or the processes. You have changed them to suit to your requirement. Such things are called falsification. Changing or omitting the data or results. Such research is not accurately represented. These are called as falsification. And plagiarism. Plagiarism is the appropriation of another person's ideas, another processes, another person's results or words without giving appropriate credit. I'll repeat, without giving appropriate credit. You can use other person's ideas, you can use others' processes, you can use others' results, but how by giving appropriate credit to them. Otherwise, it will amount to plagiarism. Research misconduct does not include honest errors or difference of opinions. Your research findings may generate opinions wherein some people may agree to it, others may not. So difference of opinions are not amounting to misconduct. Plagiarism means using ideas or words of another person without giving appropriate credit. Self-plagiarism, the verbatim copying or reuse of one's own research. I have emphasized on it. If you are using your own, you have published a research paper or article or a report, and you are using it again and reproducing it and posing as if it is a new research. That is self-plagiarism and liable to be punished. Both types of plagiarism are considered to be unacceptable practice in scientific literature. So, plagiarism is passing off another person's work as one's own work. You saw some, you found some text, you found some figure, you found some table of another researcher. You found something useful in some research paper or research article or a PhD thesis or a dissertation, and you feel that, oh, okay, this is important for me, I can use it in my report. No, friends, you cannot, unless you give them due citations or due credit or duly acknowledge the original researcher or original author. So in case if you are passing off another person's work as your own work, for example, you reusing others' text, reusing others' results, using creative expression of other previous researchers, friends, we are committing plagiarism because we have failed to acknowledge or we have failed to give proper citation of the original author or the original publication. This is amounting to serious research misconduct, which is called as plagiarism. Do not say that do not refer to others' material. Do refer to other materials, others' material, but please give them due credit. Acknowledge their work. Or if it is copyrighted, take their permissions or do not use them. So, authors should be aware of self-plagiarism also. Please beware of self-plagiarism. Try not to use it. Self-plagiarism means reuse of significant portions of author's own previously published work without attributing the original source. If at all you have to refer to your own research, previously published research, there could be situations like writing your PhD thesis. In your PhD thesis, you are bound to use the material of your published papers that have been published, that have been generated from your PhD thesis. In that case, again, cite the sources, cite the original source where those papers have been published. If you fail to cite those original papers from which your text or your data is coming, which have been published earlier, then it will amount to self-plagiarism. So, what I mean to say here is, if you are using your own research papers, please cite them also. Please give their references also. It is the responsibility of the author to obtain proper permissions and to appropriately cite or quote the material. Quoting means, quote is defined as reusing others' work with proper acknowledgement. Appropriate citation applies whether the material was written by another author. Okay, so here, friends, 3-4 things are very important. First, we do understand that every research depends on previous researchers, which means that the researcher will be using or referring to the previous researches in his own research report. It is well understood. It is acceptable also. But how do you do that? How do you refer to others' material or previous researches? How to use previous researches, text or figure or table? By giving them due credit. How do you give due credit? By citing them properly, by giving their full citation or their full references, or by quoting them properly with the help of double quotations or quoting the word, okay, and then give their full citation. If it is a figure or a table, then, and if it is copyrighted material, then the author or the researcher has to take their permission of the original author or the original researcher, then only we can reproduce or use. Friends, sooner or later ethical violations get exposed. You should be, you may feel that my research report has been checked by some software, and uh, although you copied somebody's material, it was not detected by the software. It may happen because softwares have their own limitations. Or the researcher may use some tactics, some ideas to hide the or to get rid of the, to get away with the detection software, the plagiarism detection software. However, please remember, ethical violations always get exposed by the subject experts, by the other peers, sooner or later. What are the, okay, I have been talking about plagiarism since the beginning of my lecture. So this question must be coming in our mind, that everybody knows that research ethics should be followed. There should be no falsification. There should be no fabrication. There should be no plagiarism. However, why this plagiarism still happens? Why this occurs in a report? What are the reasons? Are they always deliberate? क्या हमेशा जानबूझकर प्लेजरिज्म किया जाता है? Or are there some inadvertent mistakes committed by the researchers which are amounting to plagiarism? क्या कभी ऐसा भी हो रहा है कि गलती से प्लेजरिज्म होते जा रहा है? So now I am going to get into some examples of situations where plagiarism is occurring, which may not be, deliberate all the time. Sometimes it is deliberate step, while at other times it is inadvertent. However, in any case, plagiarism should not occur. I repeat, plagiarism should not occur because we have the ways of dealing with it. We should give due credits to the original authors. We should give due acknowledgements, and we should take permissions from the original authors, period. So, what is happening? The increasing availability of scientific literature on internet. There is some noise. Somebody's mic is on. Please make sure that your mics are off. Put your microphone off, please.
1 minute, ma'am. Let me check. Somebody's mic is on.
Yeah, it has been done now. Thank you. Okay, so what I mean to say here is, why plagiarism is occurring more these days? Because the researcher is taking most of the information from the internet, from the World Wide Web. And friends, you must be knowing that the plagiarism detection software are also checking your research report with the material available on the internet. So what is happening? You are copying from the same source, and the plagiarism detection software is also checking from that same source. जहां से आप कॉपी कर रहे हो, उन्हीं सोर्सेस से प्लेजरिज्म डिटेक्शन सॉफ्टवेयर भी चेक कर रहा है. You are referring to the internet resources which are available on Google freely, and plagiarism detection software is also comparing your report with those sources available on the internet. So there are high chances, there is every chance that your plagiarism will be detected and found. So it is a double-edged sword. What is double-edged sword? Your Google, the World Wide Web. So why these plagiarisms are occurring, why these plagiarism instances are occurring, are they always deliberate steps, are they sometimes inadvertently committed. Let us have a look at various situations where plagiarism is occurred. These are the situations when plagiarism was found. जब किसी को plagiarism करते हुए पकड़ा गया, when plagiarism was committed by a good enough. Actually, the researcher is blaming English language sentences. He's saying that the sentences, if I have to use, write this information, it has to be written in a particular way. That is why my language is getting mashed, is found similar to others. Very common. They are blaming it on the English language, that in English language these things are written in this proper, is in this manner only, and due to the language limitation it is matching. First thing. Another kind of explanation or excuse that is given for plagiarism by the authors, by the researcher is, तो researcher क्या कहते हैं, I was not involved in this article, I have no idea why my name is included. Shirking, just shirking the responsibility. The author is saying, oh my God, this paper, no, I was not the author of this paper. Totally denying that I am not the author or the researcher, who I was not a part of it. Next kind of excuse given is, this article was mainly done by a young fellow. Here, the senior researcher or the supervisor or the mentor is saying, okay, that he did not give due credits or copied from elsewhere. Another excuse given is, I'm not a native, that I do not, English is not my language, it is not my mother tongue, I am not a native English speaker, I was forced, I was compelled to write in English, and because of my limitations in English language, I think this plagiarism has occurred in the form of text. Okay, this is also blaming it on the language. Again, not on the language, blaming it on the limitation of knowing the language. Okay, it happens most of the times that people say, okay, I have written in English, English is not my language, so maybe I didn't know how to write. Then another excuse given here is, I told you that first the senior researcher was blaming it to the junior, that the junior has conducted plagiarism. Now the junior researcher is blaming it on the senior. He's saying, oh my God, my senior has done it. I thought my senior is very intelligent and he's very ethical, but my God, he has conducted this. And sometimes the corresponding author, many a times the researcher pleads ignorance. He says, do you mean, acha, I had to take permissions? Oh my God, I had no idea that if I'm using figures, if I'm using tables from internet or from some other sources, I had no idea that I had to take their permissions because it was copyrighted. I have no idea, I have no knowledge of copyrighted material. So just pleading ignorance about the copyrighted and their permissions. However, as I told you, even if it is an inadvertent mistake, it will amount to plagiarism. You have to always be aware of plagiarism. not to conduct plagiarism, and how to prevent plagiarism by giving due credits, due acknowledgements, and by giving full citations and references of all the material that you have used. If it is copyrighted, take their permissions or do not use them. Shodh Ganga I have covered earlier in my yesterday's lecture. Only this part is, as I told you, that UGC has come out with a regulation in 2016 wherein they have made it compulsory for the universities to upload their PhD thesis on this open access, freely available digital repository, which is called as Shodh Ganga and which is maintained by InfluNet Center of UGC. All the PhD thesis and their synopsis should be uploaded on Shodh Ganga and Shodh Gangotri respectively, and the students can access them and refer to them. They can access them and they can refer to them for conducting their own research. However, please beware of plagiarism. Do not copy others' material. If at all you are using others' thesis, some part, some text, some figure, some table of others' thesis, please give them due credit by way of citing them, by way of giving their full citation, in text cite, then full citation, full references. Friends, the wise people have said, like Fred Rogers, have said that it is not the honors and the prizes and the fancy outsides of life which ultimately nourish our souls. भौतिक सुख ही नहीं है जो हमारी जिंदगी को बेहतर बनाता है, बल्कि however, it is knowing that we can be trusted, that we never have to fear the truth, that the bedrock of our very being is good stuff. The main purpose of our life, of living a good life, is to live a life which is governed by morals, high values, and ethics. Friends, these are the sources on the basis of which I have prepared my lecture, and I would like to bring your attention to my slides. Please look at my slides. See, now just look at the bottom part of my slide. You will see that I have given citations. I have given references to all the sources from where I have gathered, I have used that information. You can see a citation or a reference in this slide. Here, of course, UGCs.
Yes.
See, I have used this image I got this image on Google Images. I mentioned it. I have cited it. See my citation at the bottom line for this image. See my citation here, self-plagiarism, IEEE policy. See my citation here also. At the top of this slide, I have given the citation from where I have taken this text. Likewise, this figure also, you can see the citation at the bottom line. Everywhere you will find citations. I gave these citations to give you an idea about how to give citations of figures, tables, images taken from internet. So, with this, my lecture and my presentation comes to an end. Good luck with your research work.
Ma'am, I would like to ask one question.
Yes, please.
How much percentage of plagiarism is allowed in PhD thesis?
Well, to come to know about how much percentage is allowed, what are the rules for it, one has to one has to follow the direction or the bylaws under which the student has been registered for the PhD program. In your, if you are talking about plagiarism for PhD, then you will find a direction mentioned in your registration letter. If you go through that direction, there is a section devoted to plagiarism and how much percentage is allowed, how the plagiarism is to be dealt with. Okay. And if it is about your research article or research paper, follow the guidelines given by the publisher.
Okay, madam.
As of now, the direction or the bylaws for plagiarism are in accordance to UGC regulation, which says up to 10% is allowed. And how to cite other sources? What is excluded from plagiarism? Of course, your preliminary section, your appendices, your reference and bibliography, they are excluded from plagiarism checking, and your quoted work, cited work, they are also excluded. Quoted, cited, formula, common knowledge, and text. The text words, matching words up to 14. 14 words which are matching. So the text 14 words are excluded. Up to 14.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Hello, madam.
Yes.
Hello, ma'am.
UGC have removed the UGC care list now. Then it is important to publish your paper in UGC care list for PhD work.
Well, sir, because there have been very frequent changes. Okay, so I will again repeat the same thing, that if you are talking about PhD, please go by your direction. Look at your registration letter. There is a direction mentioned in your direction is the bylaw of university. Look at that direction. Have a full-fledged hard copy of that direction with you all the time, and go through the rules and regulations mentioned there, because your PhD will be governed by that direction. If UGC says that now UGC care is not compulsory, it may be implemented for the PhD students who will be registered now onwards.
Okay, ma'am.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
Am I audible?
Hello, ma'am.
Yes, you all are audible. Yes, speak.
Ma'am, can you please again explain the difference between fabrication and falsification? Difference between fabrication and falsification.
Okay. Fabrication happens when there are no results and you make the results. That is fabricating something, creating something. Okay, mangadanta. Okay, that is called fabricated data. There was no results. There was no experimental data coming out of it or field data out of it, and you have created it. Please do not get offended if I use the term you. You means all the researchers. So that is called fabrication. Falsification means you are changing or interpolating the data as per your requirement. The readings are not coming as they should be, and then you are just interpolating them or manipulating them. That is called false data. There was data, but you have manipulated.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Mostly in experimental researches, this thing happens. This fabrication and falsification, I am very sorry to say, please do not get offended. It is mostly done by the researchers belonging to science field, where the researches are carried out in lab through some experiments. So even in surveys also, in the humanities or social sciences also, there are some there are experimental researches also at times, and the data coming from surveys, they can also commit falsification or fabrication. Has to be aware of all these things and should not ever commit these things.
Hello, ma'am. Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
Hello. Yes, I have two questions, ma'am. If we take a sentence exactly as it is and provide a citation, does that eliminate the plagiarism?
Sorry, what have you taken?
If we take a sentence exactly from the paper as it is and provide a citation, does that eliminate the plagiarism?
I'll elaborate more on it. Your question is very good. I think this question should give more clarity to everyone, even to those who have not asked this question. You can take verbatim same sentences. However, they should be enclosed in double quotations and they should be properly cited using a citation style, APA style, MLA Chicago, whichever you are using, IEEE Vancouver, whichever you are using, but they should be properly cited. If it is verbatim same, word by word same, enclose it within double quotation and then give its due citation. Cite it within the text. Got it?
Yes, yes. And my second
Ma'am,
question is that
and
are there any
indent.
plagiarism checkers? Hello.
Yes.
Is there any free plagiarism checkers, and is it valid to use them?
I told you that you use quote, double quotation and cite them properly. There will be no plagiarism. However,
No, no.
if you are
Ma'am,
taking a
I'm
large part of it, then it may not be allowed. Yes.
okay. No, no. I'm asking about the softwares of plagiarism checkers. Free, which is available
You can
online.
check from free softwares. Nobody stops you from checking from the free softwares
Okay,
like
okay.
Quillbot, or I think there is this Mendeley and Zotero are also providing some plagiarism checking these days.
Okay, okay.
हेलो मैम
Yes.
मैम अभी जो एआई टूल्स अवेलेबल है तो आप प्लीज गाइड कीजिएगा कि हम उसका यूज कर सकते हैं ये रिसर्च पेपर राइटिंग में या कोई रिपोर्ट राइटिंग में.
Okay, see, friends, I always get this question these days in my lecture. Now, अभी जो मैं बोल रही हूँ सभी लोग ध्यान से सुनिए. I'll speak in English and in Hindi also, and you can ask questions in Marathi also. See, so far UGC has not deliberated upon how to deal with the AI data. Okay, they have not put a tab on how much AI similarity is allowed or AI generated portion is allowed, what percentage of it is allowed. One thing. So, however, certain institutions, certain governing agencies, or certain publishers, in case of your research article or research paper, they are coming up with their own guidelines that AI portion is not allowed. Now, I will tell you as per research ethics. Now, listen to me carefully. You have got some data, some text or data generated from ChatGPT or some similar kind of AI tools. Tell me one thing. I have been every time emphasizing on this portion that the research should be original. Original. Is that portion created by you, written by you? Is that research done by you? Have that part which AI generated by you? क्या वो AI portion आपने लिखा है? No. Then you should not use it. Now there are certain organizations, and the discussion has already risen and going on, that AI portion can also be given reference or citation. However, so far UGC has not come up with any regulation or rules on it. I haven't come across any UGC regulation on it. Okay, because if AI is generating some data, if we are using it, this is sure that that portion does not belong to you. You are not the intellectual creator of it. In that case, it belongs to some, not to some person, but to some tool, or maybe by the copyright owner of that particular tool, the proprietor of that tool. But there have been no guidelines so far how to cite that tool, whether citation should be allowed for AI. सबको क्लियर हुआ मैंने जो बोला है? मैंने ये कहा है, मैंने ये कहा है कि अगर AI पोर्शन भी आपके रिसर्च रिपोर्ट में दिखता है तो भी वो नहीं होना चाहिए. क्यों नहीं होना चाहिए? क्योंकि रिसर्च एथिक्स क्या कहते हैं कि वो आपने तो बनाया नहीं है, वो तो किसी टूल ने बनाया है, वो तो किसी सॉफ्टवेयर ने बनाया है. तो आप कहेंगे कि तो फिर उसको हम साइट कर सकते हैं क्या यूज करके? फ्रेंड्स, अभी इस पे कोई गाइडलाइन नहीं आए हैं, तो मत कीजिए. Any more questions?
hello ma'am.
Yes.
मैम जो 1 और 2 सेंटेंस की जो लाइन होती है वो अपन पैराग्राफ में साइटेशन देके लेते हैं, लेकिन जब 3 और 4 लाइन के ऊपर जो लाइंस आती है तो अपन इंडेंट करके देते हैं, तो वो इंडेंट जो अपन रखते हैं वो प्लेगरिज्म में पकड़ा जाता है कि नहीं पकड़ा जाता मैडम?
देखिए, आई टोल्ड यू, प्लेजरिज्म में तो सॉफ्टवेयर तो सब कुछ पकड़ता है, लेकिन आपकी गाइडलाइन 14 वर्ड्स तक अलाउ करती है।
ओके।
Ma'am, I have one question.
यस, स्पीक अप प्लीज, बोलिए।
Am I audible, ma'am?
यस यस, यू आर।
मैम, मैंने मेरे कलीग का एक प्लेगरिज्म अपना चेक किया था रिपोर्ट, उनके थीसिस का चैप्टर था वो लास्ट ईयर, तो उसमें 23% सिमिलरिटी आई थी।
ठीक है,
वो पुणे यूनिवर्सिटी से है और अभी वो सबमिट कर रहे हैं, तो उनका जो रिपोर्ट है उसमें सबमिटेड बाय RTMNU स्टूडेंट दिखा रहा है, सबमिटेड दिखा रहा है, जो उनका ओरिजिनल वर्क है वो। तो मैम मेरे आईडी से वो डिलीट हो सकता है क्या, टर्निटिन आईडी से, या
देखिए
फिर
इसके लिए you will have to get
क्या
in-
प्रोसेस है?
I got your point। देखिए ये
हेलो मैडम।
लिसन टू मी, अभी एक मिनट पहले इनका क्वेश्चन पहले कंप्लीट करने दीजिए। देखिए, ये जो आपने बोला ये एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव इशू है, यू विल हैव टू गेट इन टच विद योर सॉफ्टवेयर प्रोवाइडर जिससे प्लेजरिज्म, क्योंकि वहाँ डिलीशन का स्टेप है नहीं है, डिलीट होने के बाद भी सर्वर में से डिलीट हो रहा है कि नहीं, सर्वर में से डिलीट नहीं हो रहा है, इसका सिमिलरिटी तो दिखने ही वाला है। देखिए, यहाँ भी मैं आपसे एक चीज कहूँ, एथिकल प्रैक्टिस अपनाइए। जो वो पुणे यूनिवर्सिटी के स्टूडेंट है तो उन्होंने पुणे यूनिवर्सिटी में जाके चेक करना चाहिए, सो दैट फायदा ये होता कि वहां पे जब वो दिखता तो क्लियर रहता कि उन्हीं का है, उन्हीं का थीसिस है।
ओके मैम, हाँ,
अपनी
बाय मिस्टेकली वो उन्होंने मुझे चेक करने बोला मैम, और मैंने कर दिया।
फॉलो कीजिए आप लोग।
ओके मैम।
यस,
हेलो मैम।
बोलिए मैडम, पटेल मैडम।